People often ask me where to buy yerba mate and recommendations, and I'd suggest going to supporting a local store or a small business if possible. However, if you're living somewhere where you can't, like I once was, and they just don't offer the yerba that you want, check out Pampa Direct. They have the largest supply of yerba mate that I've seen, and I've learned and tried so many from them before that I've never seen anywhere else. But not only yerba, they also have dulce de leche, alfajores, shirts like jerseys, games and snacks like chocolinas, which is one of my wife's favorite cookies. And I found some really great recommendations on there for beginners, such as Don Eregi, which is something I learned about by just trying different stuff there. And also some of my personal favorites, which is Pipore and Aguantadora Despalada. They have great customer service that speaks English, and in fact, they shipped me another package of yerba for free after they had mixed up one of my orders. And they always include like little, extras, like little candies and stuff, which is really nice. And they ship anywhere in the world, and they offer free shipping here in the U.S. with an order of $50 or more. That may change depending on your country. And as a sponsor of the show, they offer 10% off on your first order with the code POWER. Go to yerbamatepower.com/pampa to place an order. Again, that's yerbamatepower.com/pampa. Pampa. Pampa. Thanks.
Oh, this is the funniest thing. Are we in the podcast right now? Like, I'm talking freely, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
so
if you want me to cut it, I don't know where.
No. I wanted you to share this on the podcast.
Yeah.
This is why I wanted to tell you. So I felt like, let me start. Can I start with this story about how this all got started? Okay.
Now I'm going to put this as a highlight then.
Okay.
Welcome to the Yerba Power Podcast, where we share the power of yerba mate with the world. Introducing your host, Devin.
Welcome to the Yerba Power Podcast. Hey, I'm Devin. If this is your first time joining us, I'm glad you're here. Subscribe and you'll find out more about yerba mate. That's what we talk about on this channel, about all the benefits, meeting different people that have different experiences, about where the yerba mate is grown, all those kind of things that deal with it. And that's why this episode is a special one, because this is an episode where I interviewed Dani Morin. She's on Instagram and TikTok sharing her stories of mom hacks and travels and child safety and her experience with yerba mate. So she goes into all the different results that she's personally had and answers some questions I have, and I answer some of her questions. This is going to be a really good episode for anyone that is just trying to figure out what's it about. So I encourage you to listen, follow along, and enjoy the ride. So I just Zoom record, works fine. And then I just pull the audio because it automatically downloads it, right, from Zoom. And I put that in Audacity, which is another free thing, simple.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know Audacity.
Intuitive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, super easy. Just, literally cut, done.
Yeah.
Like,
it's so funny because I went to college for radio, TV, film. And
then you're way better. Yeah.
But this is the thing. Back in the day, when that was 2009, like those are podcasts. So we were trained for like radio recording.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So everything's different, but I'm like, I still like kind of what I learned about like my voice, where it's like I've been using it in my TikToks and like how to tell a story. Like I do mostly like digital storytelling,
You're great at that. Yeah, that was going to say.
So
that makes sense now.
So that all of course, it's like I went there because I was like, I'm going to be a video editor. And then there's like, there's no jobs in video editing. So I was like, okay, I'll get the sales. And then what happened like 20 years later, you go back to your passion. Right now I'm on TikTok. Like, so funny.
Yeah, exactly. And now you're doing video sales through, an app.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So should I call you Danielle or Dani or?
You could call me Dani. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Dani, if you didn't know me, I'm Devin. I try to post a little more personal stuff instead of just yerba mate, but I get that like they're like, wait, who are you again? Like, because I don't have my like face as my logo, and just since you being a kind of a creator person, like balance of that, because it's not really my personal story. It's not really what my thing's about. It's a bigger picture. But I don't know I
always believe in like the power of balance of like sharing like and different creators are different on what they're comfortable with. Like a lot of like in the mom creator community, like they just get up there, they share their mom hacks, their preschool hacks, the little things. But you know, I do a lot of like, I have my own company, I work with brands, and like, so on that side of things, like people like to see like, who is she personally? Like, what are her values? And I'm a little outspoken on like certain things, but I'm like, those are my values, you know?
Yeah.
Especially like with parenting and like safety and stuff like that. But it kind of, I personally, like, if you ever got into the business, well, you have a podcast. Like, so if you want, you know, what will set you apart? And I work with a lot of brands, like kind of like as an agent where I help them get started on TikTok, and I find them creators to work with that's like in their budget and stuff. And I tell them, I'm like, you got to look at your page like a viral magazine. So even though you're like Yerba Mate, like your page should look like, you know, you talk about Yerba Mate, you know, whatever, maybe you do a couple things on that. And then like when you're opening up a magazine, like we're not seeing ad for the same thing. Like, no, we're seeing then like a story, right?
Yeah.
So you could maybe pull even like some of this, what we're talking about, like that's some, you know, you're offering value, but then maybe you're talking about like, I'm in Yerba Mate, I do that whole thing for like health, but like here's a recipe that my family really enjoys, or whatever it is. Like here's a recipe, something that's like not Yerba Mate, but you could kind of tie it into the reasons. And like other parts of your life are like, here's like a couple ways that like I try to keep my energy up and like, you know, keep my spirits up during the day, or, you know, here's how I have a podcast and I do all these things and here's how I get it done. And where you maybe mention about other things and people can see your face. Yeah. And then now it's like, they're your friend. Cause like, oh, this is the funniest thing. Are we in the podcast right now? Like I'm talking freely, right?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I mean, so if you want me to cut it out, don't worry.
No. I wanted you to share this on the podcast. This is why I wanted to tell you. So I felt like, let me start. Can I start with this story about how this got started? Okay.
Now I'm going to put this as a highlight then.
Okay. So this is how like the whole Yerba Mate thing happened for me. So I started like drinking a lot of coffee, and I don't know where it came from. It's just like the more stuff that got piled onto my plate, I felt like it was like, you know, a coffee meetup with a friend or a coffee meeting. And then it's like 2:00 and having another coffee. And then I was like waking up every night with like at 3 a.m. with these like splitting headaches. And I'm doing all this Google, and it's like, this could be like an effect of like too much caffeine and like dehydration and all of this stuff. And I'm like, I got to cut out the coffee. So I need to cut out the caffeine. Like, let me do it for like 30 days and like see how I feel. Well, in that, I had to start experimenting with all sorts of things. And I tried to do regular hot tea. I wasn't really into that. Like my mom does like herbal tea. I was like, okay, I wasn't really into that, but I was like, I was experimenting with it. And then, but I realized what I liked about my coffee was the ceremony of like making the coffee. And, it's like, I cold brewed my own coffee. Like I put it over ice. I put my little creamer in it with my little sugar. And it was this like, I enjoyed like this ceremony, like making a coffee. And I used to drink, I don't drink anymore, but I realized like, I really like the ceremony of like making a cocktail, you know what I mean? Like, so I'm like, for some reason I'm into like the process of doing things like that. Like, so I was like, okay, so just the hot tea, I was like, this is like not my thing. Then I got into the matcha, which I still very much enjoy.
Definitely very ceremonial.
And I was getting like the ceremonial tea, like the first harvest. And I did all this research on matcha. I made a couple videos of it on TikTok about how suddenly I was having like regular bowel movements. I was sleeping more. I wasn't having this like jitters. But I wasn't really having like the energy that I craved also. And I think matcha is one of those things where it's like, you can't be drinking that all day, And so I'm like, well, one, it's expensive. So I was like, okay. Then I somehow, I was on a TikTok and I saw someone posted an article in a video, which was like, it was like, Yerba Mate may have what made like Argentina win like the World Cup or something. And I'm like, what is Yerba Mate? Well, it was like, I'm like, I've heard of Yerba Mate before. Oh, because there's Yerba Mate energy drinks in Costco. And I was like, what are these? Because again, I don't drink alcohol. So I was like, I bought Yerba Mate energy drinks, but it was like, there's a lot of sugar. There's a lot of stuff going on in those energy drinks. So I was like, but what they were drinking was this. They were drinking things out of these gourds. So I start going in a rabbit hole. I go into TikTok and I'm Googling Yerba Mate, and people are like, girls are coming on there and they're like, I struggle with like something called like polycystic ovarian syndrome, PCOS. And it's like kind of like a weight fluctuation that caused like sometimes fertility issues and all this stuff. And so girls are like, I wanted to get on Ozempic to help with my weight loss, but they couldn't handle like the nausea and stuff. And so they're like, but someone recommended Yerba Mate tea. And I ended up losing like equal amount that I was when I was like doing the Ozempic. Like it was the same thing. Well, a doctor then stitched the video and he was like, well, that's because Yerba Mate, and he's from Argentina. He's like, that's because Yerba Mate triggers the GPL-1. So it kind of tells you that you're full, but he's like, besides that, there's like all these other benefits like focusing. And so people that struggle with like, attention and focusing and stuff, like it could help with that. And he's like, everyone's journey is different. Like some people it might help with weight loss, some people it might not. Like, but everyone's journey is different. But it helps with like this energy, and that's why the soccer players, it was this natural energy for them, and that's why they were like going through this Yerba Mate. I got into a rabbit hole, so I'm like, how are people making it? Because that's like, and I'm like, it's a ceremony. They got the straws, they got the cups. Like, I was like, this is right up my alley. We got to try it. I tried to get the stuff that they were showing that the soccer players are drinking, and I don't know if you saw the first video, but it did not go over well.
Yeah.
Like, first of all, I think I filled up like this much of the Yerba Mate itself into my cup, right? Like it was full and like just a little bit of water. And I was like, this is disgusting. Like I'll never drink this again. And I was telling people, I was like, I really wanted this to see if it would like affect me in some way, but I cannot stand it. And it's so funny because all these like the Argentina people were so nice about it. They were like making fun of me, but they're like, please give it another shot because like we truly believe in this and like you will find benefits, like give it another shot. I'm like, no, I have no clue what I'm doing. Well, Calmate, am I saying that right? Is it Calmate?
Yeah, Calmate. So it's a play on words because calm yourself or calm down in Spanish is calmate. Like, so they put the calm, like calm, but they spell it right? Calm yourself, but also the mate. So it's like calmate. So
love it.
Calm yourself down like mate. That's a play on words. So yeah, because that's also, I realize, so many people get into it and they don't understand Spanish, and there's a lot of terms and stuff.
There's a lot of terms.
So anyway,
which I'm like learning. I'm on this like whole journey now. But anyway, so they reached out and they're kind of like laughing at me and they're like, you got to give it another shot. And they're like, let us like send you a kit with like our stuff. And then they sent me like handwritten directions, all these different ways like that. Do this first. Like you wrote everything out. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so sweet. So what ended up getting it for me is now I put the proper amount in. One, I was making it too hot, so I wasn't able to sip it out of the straw. So I learned about that. And then I put the water and I let it sit there for a little bit. And then I also put in and I know you told me that the coconut that I can mix it in there ahead of time because I was like kind of putting it on top. So I actually did that today and it I love it. And then I did a little bit, and a little bit of coconut. Now I got my mom on it also. And my mom doesn't do any sort of caffeine because she's like, does not like the jitters. So I got my mom onto it and she this is the first time that she's like, I like the feeling. Like she also feels, she's like, what's funny is that I'm not snacking. She does Grammy daycare. She's like, I'm not snacking on the kids' food as much. So I was like, I think that's like kind of like what it does. And for me, obviously I went into it to be like, let's see if I could like lose weight. I got a couple pounds I could get off, but that ended up, and that's kind of the joke. That's why I was like, the Ozempic tea. And that's kind of the joke between me and my followers. But what I was saying last week is I was like, actually, like, it's the focus for me. Like the amount of work that I've been getting done and not the work where I'm like, okay, I'm getting all this stuff done. And I'm like, I got the jitters and the shaking. It's just like, and I'm like so caffeinated. I'm like, I feel like the level of energy is there and the focus is there. The clarity is there. But I'm not like, and I'll probably sip on this maybe till like a little bit after like lunch, but I don't put in it anymore tea. I just like use the same amount. I just pour the water in. And so I'm like, and I'm going to bed fine. I'm not waking up with headaches. Like, and that was stuff that I was like struggling with. So with the caffeine. So I'm like, I don't understand how this caffeine is different. And I want, like, if you have books and stuff that I could read, because now a lot of my followers are on it. But this is what I was going to tell you. Do you know that they're like, is this an MLM? Is what an MLM? They're like,
Yerba Mate.
And I was like, so you just go get Yerba Mate. Like, I was like, Cal Mate, like that's the one that I'm currently drinking.
Yeah.
But I have a bunch of other ones in my house because I've tried them all. And I was like, no, it's not an MLM. Like, you know, and I'll put stuff, I put everything in my storefront, because if they're like, what's the one that you have? Like, it's in there. But I'm like, I was like, no, it's not an MLM. So I ended up reaching out to one of the girls. I was like, I'm concerned that enough girls are coming on here thinking that this is an MLM, that I'm like making money off of this. And can you tell me why you thought that? She was like, because you said the word, like, I have this community. And I'm talking about like you and, you know,
sure.
the people have been commenting and like reaching out, and like even people from Argentina, you know, where there's like a little bit of a language barrier, like people are like reaching out. So I was like, so I was like, no. So I was telling her, I was like, okay, so my next video I make, I will let everybody know that that
really means community.
That when I was saying community, is like, I was shocked that like a tea journey, people are going to be like, oh yeah, let me tell you how it helps me and how you can prepare it. Like, and I was like, oh my God, no, it's just like a tea thing. So, so I've been trying to like read more about it, because people are coming up with questions like, can I drink it when I'm nursing? Which it seems like, you know, what's the caffeine like? Like, what's the intake? Like, how does it affect your body? Different. Well, Cal Mate's been like in the comments, like answering a lot of those questions about like how the caffeine is different, which I don't really understand. I just know I feel differently. But what I was reading is it's more like a natural energy than like a caffeinated induced like type of energy, which is like why you have the focus and like less jitters. But I think I'm like technically on week 6 or 7 of this. And it's funny because I only brought it up on my vacation for 1 week, and I was gone for 2 weeks, and my mom like, you could see it different, like, you know. But the second I got it, I started like bloating up and all this stuff. The second I got back on it, when I got home, like within like 2 days, I was like back to normal, feeling good, like, you know, normal bowels, like all these things. So I'm like, I don't know if it's the Yerba Mate, but like, what else have I changed? You know? So and now I'm like, and I was telling people, and they were mentioning the MLM thing. I'm like, I've been showing you guys all the different teas I've been trying. This is just like what is like seems to be like giving me what I was looking for. So, because I've been on this crazy tea journey, which is not part of my content at all, which is the funniest part. Because I'm like, never in my life did I think that suddenly I'm talking about an Argentina tea on my mom channel. No. You know,
that's a great example.
When I'm telling the moms, I'm like, we have so much going on in the day, like, and we are like accustomed to like the mom coffee and all this stuff. And I'm like, but I think also some of us struggle with like that anxiety that comes from the coffee. And so I'm like, it was happening to me. So I'm like, this is just what's working for me, you know, right now. And I would have never known had I not seen the article of the soccer players, which is the funniest part.
That's my, you know, I get it because it's, you know, highlight and stuff, but like, are you even a soccer fan?
Not even a soccer fan.
Yeah, I mean,
that's
so great though, but that catches a lot of people, really.
Yeah. It was a hook, and it was like soccer, like Argentina soccer players went through like 1,100 pounds of like Yerba
1,100 pounds,
or something crazy like that. Yeah, so you know the article I'm talking about, and I was like, well, what is it? You know?
Yeah, exactly.
So, and I'm not like a big soccer person, you know.
And that's cool.
So I don't even know how it came across my feed, but I was like, thank God. And then I just went into a rabbit hole, and I saw, and I was like, how do they prepare it? And my mom drinks it completely different. So my mom drinks it. So I add a little bit of Manuka honey, which I do tell people, I'm like, that stuff is so expensive. Like it's, but you only need a little bit of Manuka honey, a little bit of coconut milk, and the coconut flakes. My mom does hers completely different. She does a little bit of regular honey and lemon. That's it. So she's more like the citrusy, where I'm more like the milky, I guess. So
Probably,
everyone,
whatever, yeah.
and then now people will come into the comments
Yeah.
and they're like, you got to try it this way.
Try it this way, try it this way.
Yeah. So that's kind of fun too, because I've been experimenting, but this is like my go-to. This is like, I got it down and it's my go-to what I'm doing now.
Fantastic. No, seriously, that's a great story. And I guess just to go back with my original question, like how it just a spin-off on your personal thing becomes this whole thing, right? So encouraging to share, like, I guess, just personal things on the page or whatever that's working for me. And because I've been kind of questioning about, like, hey, maybe sharing some travel stuff, just kind of to tie that in. And I've always like, well, that's such a, like distraction, I feel like, from the topic of what I'm talking about. But I guess you encourage me now to lean into.
And you know what? I always tell people, like, have 5 pillars, right? So like if you go on my TikTok, like I'm like Dani Morin, like mom hack child safety. But what you really see, I'll have 5 pillars at any given time, which means that weekly, these 5 pillars will like come out. And I dipped into the travel. And how I did it is I found a way to tie it into family, right? So I focus on family.
Exactly.
Travel. So when I make my videos, this was what worked for my family. I'm traveling. This is like that we like this hotel for a family because of this, or these are the like excursions we did with our family. So it's focused on like family travel instead of like aesthetics, like which those are great too. But it's like that's worked for me, and it's still a transition because I'm not always traveling where I have so much travel content. With that, I'll try to do like local things in LA that are for kids, or I'll post stuff like that. But I talk about that. I have my company Zippy Mama. It's a breastfeeding friendly clothing line, so I talk about that once a week. I'll mention my grief journey. I lost a child a couple of years ago, so I'll mention which.
I didn't. Sorry to disrupt you, but I just want to tell you. Those that don't know, I looked in. I did want to commend you for being so brave and sharing that story, because, like, looking at it, reading it, and stuff, and like, I didn't know that about you until just kind of getting to know you. But I mean, that took a lot of courage and a lot of to where you're at right now. So I just want to say thank you. So it's been, I'm managing it, but grief is grief, and it's tough. And I just, I started talking about that on my channel, and with that, sometimes like my grief turns into passion, and sometimes that passion turns into people blame. Like, I mean, it's just that's the internet for you. But I still think, like, I'm like, if I could even help one other parent in that scenario or learn something, then I want to be able to do that. And so I talk about, like, I'll mention grief, and then I do like mom hack, and then I do child products, which kind of go into that. And then randomly now, this is like the 3rd week in a row I've talked out. And they're asking me, like, I try to reply back to the comments, but people are like, how's that journey going for you? Like, did you notice any other benefits? Like, so I'm going to talk to Mate about the breastfeeding, because there's a lot of moms that are like, I'm finding that I'm drinking too much coffee and it's like not good for my baby. And so I'm like, I'm not well versed on how this all works, so I'm going to have to do some research on that. But I'll probably do a follow-up video on that, just because, like, when it comes to babies, like, I don't mess around with, like, the coffee and stuff. Like, so I was like, I got to make sure I know what I'm talking about. But people have been asking a lot of questions, like, well, how much weight have you lost? And I was like, I think what I lost was a lot of the bloat and the water weight, because I almost instantly lost like about 9 to 10 pounds in the first 3 weeks. But I think what it was I wasn't snacking on the things that were making me bloat. And so I was like, I don't want to be like, oh yeah, I just drank this and it just like shut off. But I think it got me back to my state that I'm comfortable in. You know what I mean? Like that average state where I'm like not bloated. So I kind of wanted to do a video to be like, I don't want to come on here and be like, because like, you lose weight by eating healthy, exercise. Like, you're just not going to drink. Exactly. We all know lose
weight. But
everybody's looking for the shortcut.
Yeah. And me too. Like, that's why I was like, oh, let's try this tea. Like, I'll try anything. But, that's why I was like, I was like, what? It's just tea. I've already tried like hundreds of tea so far. Like, let me try this. I just like did not realize like all the benefits that were going to come from it. So now it's turned into this like research project. And it's so funny because people in Argentina are like pumping me up. They're like, this is so awesome. Like, you got to tell your friends. Like, this is what we do all day long. Like, this is like our thing.
Nope.
And they're not mad that I'm sharing it either. I think sometimes people are like, well, that's our thing. They're like, no, like, spread it. Like, you know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's been so fun.
No, you've answered questions that I want to know too, you know, like the benefits so I guess why people are so excited, me personally, as well as other people, is because we know how Yerba Mate has helped us in so many ways. Each one of us has a different journey, like you said. And it's kind of that, well, this has really helped me. I want to help you as well. This has helped me. Let me share what has helped me. And we get excited when someone else like tries it. We 90% of us, I would say, or probably more, maybe all of us, I don't know, just want to get people to try it. Give it a try. If you don't like it, I can't blame you, because let's face it, the first time, you're lying if you say you really loved it the first time. Usually it's because it's an acquired taste, right? And so thank you for giving it a second shot and realizing, okay, hey, I just need to do some different things, and that's it. And then once you really tried it, gave it a real shot, now, you know, hey, if you gave it an honest shot and it wasn't for you, that's fine, you know. But now that you see, and that's why we get so excited, and we, you know, want people to experience all the great things, you know, that you're you know, and that's not an MLM or anything. It's really just trying to help people.
I know. I thought it was so funny. I was like, no, people just pumping me up. It's not MLM.
Yeah. I will say though, I do kind of have a secret agenda of getting more Americans, specifically Americans, because like you said, they don't know what it is. They're not used to it. Just getting them to try it, but also getting coffee detox. That is actually my secret agenda that I haven't really, you know, fully leaned into, but just saying like, hey, I drink coffee. It's not you can't drink coffee. So I still drink coffee, but I'm just saying, hey, this is a great substitute. You still get the caffeine, you still get the benefits. You just don't have the side effects. So why not? Right. And to answer a previous question about the caffeine, I'll do a separate episode about that because that gets asked all the time. Okay. And the short answer is the caffeine varies. Depends on how you brew it, depends on the yerba, lots of things. I've heard somewhere between 60 to 100 milligrams, which is like a cup of coffee, basically, anyways. Yeah. So to answer the short question, the other one, there's theophylline and theobromine, which are sister chemicals of caffeine in yerba mate. So the theobromine, so this is all new to me too, because I honestly just drank it and never really learned all the science behind it. That is the same chemical that's in cacao, which is in chocolate, right? Okay. So that gives you that natural, natural, and that also has the more sustained energy, like instead of a hit crash that is typical of coffee and other energy drinks and stuff. So that's kind of why that more clarity sustained.
It's a time-lapse energy. That's how I've been like describing it, because
that's a great description.
Yeah. So back in the day, like a little side note, back in the day, I've been on ADHD medication. That I got sober, so I don't drink alcohol anymore. And
congratulations, me as well. I'm almost 9 months. So
okay, I'm coming up on 5 years. So yeah, I had like a rough patch after my son passed away, and I just like
I can only imagine
to live my best life, and like cutting that out was the best. But with that, I cut out any like what could be mind altering substances, including like ADHD medication. But there was one that I was on that was time lapse. So it wasn't like, okay, the buzz morning to get everything done. It was time lapse. And I was like, that's kind of like, I get a similar feeling with this, where it's just kind of like equal throughout the day. And it's not like in the morning where I have, you know, big coffee buzz, then I can go to lunch, I get another one, big coffee buzz. So that's why I'm like, I feel similar. I think I might have even mentioned that in the video about like, it seemed time lapse to me. But yeah, I mean, it's crazy how it does kind of work. And then, you know what, I had a question for you about.
Well, I can go back to the breastfeeding question.
It was. Oh yeah, that's a question. And then some people are coming on, and I read a little bit about this way prior to buying the yerba mate. So about the smoked versus unsmoked. And there's a little bit of debate in the comment section about, now I'm drinking unsmoked. I decided that I was only going to try unsmoked. So I have about 3 or 4 Yerba Mate teas in my house that I was trying, and they're all unsmoked. Because I heard that with the smoked, there is this extra chemical on it for the smoke that if drinking too much could have like cancer-causing like effects or something.
Heard that as well.
So I was like, so I was like, I'll just do the and then I'm just going to do the unsmoked. But people are in the comments from like Argentina, and they're saying you would have to drink gallons of smoked Yerba Mate a day to ever even have that effect. So I'm still going to like research that, because it's like, I don't, if that's the case, then I want to make sure people are getting unsmoked. But what are your thoughts on the unsmoked versus the smoked?
So yes, great question. So as far as unsmoked, I personally drink the unsmoked because I just don't like the flavor of the smoked one.
Okay.
It's usually called barbacoa, which is barbecue, is the like barbacoa is the like flavor smoked. I just don't like the taste of it because the smoky taste. I just don't like it. So I don't drink it, but that's just me personally. And then I don't know for a fact, but I'm thinking what you're saying is true as far as, you'd have to drink like gallons of it before it would have that kind of effect, because you're not drinking you're not eating the leaves straight, you're filtered and all that stuff. Same thing I've also heard about, throat cancer from drinking yerba mate too hot or whatever, but you also have to drink it like, boiling hot, and stuff like that. So, which you're not drinking it that hot anyway.
And you would know, because I'll know sometimes if my water is a little bit hotter than I like it. Like I can't put it on my lips.
Exactly. Then it's you're going to self-regulate there. It's like, if it's too hot and it's uncomfortable and you won't drink it. Like, obviously you're doing damage to yourself. Of course, it's like, it's scalding. Like, well, So,
tell me about the breastfeed. What you know about the breastfeeding, because I do have a large community of moms and new moms that are looking for a source of energy that's not too much caffeine.
Right. So my wife is personally still breastfeeding. We have a 2-year-old daughter, about to be 2-year-old. So she still drinks yerba mate. So she breastfed naturally both of our children. My son's about to be 5 in January, and she'll be 2 in next week. Well, actually 5 days. 15th.
My son's the 17th.
Oh, yeah. Well, my wife is the 29th as well. So we got a whole bunch of July babies.
July birthdays.
Yeah. So she's still breastfeeding currently. We're weaning her off, she is. I'm not doing anything, but weaning her off. So, but she's been drinking yerba mate the whole time. I will say that she, tries not to drink as much, as far as, I drink like, sometimes 2 or 3 times a day. Versus she'll just drink in the morning and maybe that's it. It's, caffeine, I guess, can, the doctors will even tell you, it's okay to drink caffeine, just,
I believe
moderation.
The rule of thumb is 100 milligrams of caffeine. And I think where
which is a cup of coffee, more or less.
Where I could talk to my followers about is I'm not filling this up with tea. 3 or 4 times a day. It's the same tea.
It's the same.
I'm filling it up with.
All right. So we had a little break in the conversation here because the Zoom call had to reconnect it. But while I got your attention, let me tell you about how to find yerba mate if you want to buy it. So there's a couple ways that you can do that. These are affiliate links, so I'm just letting you know these are people I'm affiliated with. And if you use the affiliate links, it doesn't cost anything extra for you. There's nothing extra you have to do. It's just a direct link, saves you some money and helps me out as well monetarily. But they also have really good products and who I order from. First is Pampa Direct. That is basically the go-to place for anything yerba mate. They have literally any yerba you want to find on there, shipped directly to you from Argentina. Quick service, great customer service. You can find more about them at yerbamatepower.com/Pampa and use code POWER for a discount. Next is good friend Yerba Crew. He's in Philadelphia. Jason, I've interviewed him on the podcast as well. He is very passionate about what he does. He has great products as well. I have his Iguazu Blue ceramic mate, which I like. It's nice to hold, very aesthetic. Also have Anna Park Yerba and Merced that he sells, which are two that I really like. Playerito is also what he has. It's very good for beginners. You can check him out at yerbamatepower.com/crew. Let's get back into the episode. So caveat, my wife is from Argentina, so that's one thing as far as like, I guess, taking it straight from the source versus like, what I'm saying, like as far as actual legitimate source. However, she's just one mom. She's not all moms. She's not a scientist. Just what her experience. I could let you talk to her personally. She would love to share that. So if you ever want to, I can arrange that.
Okay.
You can have to
cool.
hang out and talk. So with that being said, and then as far as moderation, right? I think anybody that has any common sense, moderate the amount of caffeine, right? I mean, that's, I guess, the simple answer. But like you were saying, it's 1 cup that you're filling throughout the day. It's not like you were 3 cups, every single
like
time.
coffee. If you got a new coffee, you're getting more coffee every single time.
More caffeine, more caffeine. Yeah, exactly. Versus you're just basically the same tea and you're just adding more water, which is not harming anything. It's just water. And if anything, it's diluting the more you drink it.
Okay.
Like any other
that makes sense. Yeah. Because I was going to do a follow-up on that. And so I was like, I'll talk to you and like do some research, which the research on, I think it even was WebMD, was like that they studied 3,000 yerba mate drinkers for breastfeeding, and there was there was a less amount of effect in the breast milk than a cup of coffee. So, I would imagine. I was like, okay, that's
because it's not straight caffeine.
Yeah, like that's more of a reputable like source too, And of course, I found a bunch of like mommy blogs that are like, no, it's totally fine. But I'm like, you can't always trust like the mommy blogs. Like I like to have like some sort of science study behind it. And they have one, so which is good too. But I'm always cautious like recommending things on my page until like I have a definitive answer.
Exactly. Yeah. No.
And I'm like big on the science. Yeah. But it's so great. What a great tea. Sorry, you hear the kids in the background. They're down there.
I can't hear it on listen. Okay. So with that being said, benefits wise, so my wife too likes to use it as she has hyperthyroids, so she uses it as a suppressive, what do you call it? Appetite suppressor, I guess.
Yeah.
Right. Which also helps you lose weight and bloating and all the other bowel things that are helpful, and that's kind of a lot of her health benefits, but also kind of like you said about the clarity and anti-anxious kind of, and those things, I don't know, security blanket, honestly, like, cause it's like something to hold and sip on and and I agree with you with the ritual. That's what I love to do in the morning. I do the whole preparation and all that stuff.
I know. So, isn't it so funny that we like that? Cause it's like, I'm like, that's my thing,
And if you look now on Instagram, I mean, there's a bazillion videos and everybody posts the same thing of like preparing it and shaking it and dumping it, like the whole thing. Yerba Mate Lab, if you don't follow him, he does all those videos of preparing it, and he does really good videos. They're all aesthetically.
I think he's commented. I think he commented also.
Yeah, well, I hope
I'm not sure if I.
Shout out to him, Yerba Mate Lab. He did my intro, actually. His voice is on my intro of my podcast.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Isn't that great, though? And everyone's just kind of like helping each other out.
In it together, because it's not really competition, because
it's our non-MLM MLM.
Yeah.
It's the MLM that no one makes money.
Exactly. and really don't make a whole lot of money. There's not really a lot of money in it.
I know.
Unfortunately. So it's like the more awareness helps all of us out, because me getting awareness to people in general helps, people see me, but they also help see all these other brands, all these other benefits, and they help you and vice versa. So we all help kind of each other out, because the truth is, like, 400 million something people in America, and probably only 400,000 even know what Yerba Mate is, right? So, I mean, there's, millions and millions of other people out there that, untapped potential, basically. So it's not like we're really fighting for each other over one person. And in fact, that's why I'm so excited to have you personally, because, I mean, I'm a dad, I get parenting, but you as a mom have a whole nother audience I'll never reach. I'm not saying I'll never reach, but that you can speak into. And that's what I'm so excited about. And then also your story of legitimately like giving it a shot and now seeing all those benefits that we try to always tell people about, but you're living proof of it versus me just telling you, I've been drinking it for 10 years and this is all my experience. But, so.
Well, there's another guy on TikTok who did 100 days on Yerba Mate without adding anything in it except for the yerba itself.
Oh, yeah.
And how his taste completely changed. If I find videos again, I'll send you. And he was like, my food tastes better. Like, he was like, my food that I eat now tastes better. Like it's like evolved like my
palate,
like my palate of some ways. So he kind of has like a cool story too.
Interesting.
But he did Yerba
Mate
for 100 days,
especially without sugar or anything, because usually
that's what he said.
People started.
So he was drinking it like that, and he was like, I just want to drink it without anything in it, which I was putting a little bit of sugar. I don't anymore. I'm like 3 weeks no sugar added in.
Good job.
But and people said like for the first 3 weeks like to add like a little bit to the straw or whatever. But this guy, he did 100 days, yerba only, not adding anything in, and he was like, you get so used to it like pretty quickly, and then
after a while,
like now it's like you look forward to it, like
then you enjoy it. Yep.
Which is like what's wrong with Instagram is there's no reach on Instagram. You're as good as your following count. Whereas like TikTok, you're as good as your next video. You're as good as the next piece of content you put out. Any given day, anyone can go viral, whether you have 1 follower or 1 million. So, but on Instagram,
might get out there one day, but
getting more. No, you have to. You would do well too because you're very well spoken. But getting and I'll set up a time to talk to you, and I'll give you like a breakdown on like what I give to like people, brands I could give you like 30 days of exactly what to say on TikTok, and you would kill it. But but like with the Instagram and the threads, it's like getting new followers is hard on Instagram. So now going to threads, it's like, it's always fun if you start a new one because it's like, I'm starting fresh. Let's see what kind of audience I can get. No, you're just getting the same people you were. So I'm like, well, then how do you see this on Instagram? Like they see me there, So I'm going to see how it pans out.
Well, what I'm doing now, why I was transitioned because I just posted like my top 5 for absolute beginners, and Porongo I put for number 2. And I didn't explain. I just put top 5, but that's why. It's something new that I've learned about, and it's super, super light. The other one is a Brazo, which I am affiliated with personally, so I'm just, throwing that out there.
Yeah.
I am affiliated with Brazo, but I like them because they're organic as well, but they're going to be familiar with people that have drank tea before, because basically it's a blend, and they have real, like, cinnamon and real nutmeg and real stuff into it. So it's basically going to taste just like chai tea that just happens to have yerba mate in it, or tastes like apricot spice that has yerba mate into it. So it's a super easy transition for absolute beginners.
I'll have you send me that one because I think with my mom,
I'll hook you up with.
She's a tea. She's like, I wish I just still kind of had like my tea, but with this, because she's been a herbal tea person her whole life.
That's why I say it's super easy.
She does like the effects of yerba mate, but she's missing like the flavors that she's used to with her herbal. So
I'll hook you up with that one because that's exactly the reason why. And then you can't really mess it up. I mean, you just brew it like tea. That's the other thing is you don't have to worry about the gourd and all that stuff. Just put it in the you're fine. Okay. And I try to tell that story to people that are getting started and they don't understand the whole thing. Because just so you know, you did like all the beginner mistakes on your first video. I went back and looked at it. It was hilarious.
I needed to know.
No, seriously, it was great. Because then watching the second video, I was like, this is great. Like this is like all the stuff that we always try to teach people, right? Because stirring the bombilla is like the number one rule. Like never do, and you're like, it's like, no, like
isn't that natural though? Like we like stir.
Dump the water in. Yeah, exactly. There's so many videos of memes of people of like their first time drinking mate, and then they, like don't move the straw. I'm like, it's not a clutch or like a, Any other question? This is great though, stuff, and I'm so
I'm sure I'm
thankful
gonna
for you
have
to be on
questions.
this.
Yeah, I'm sure I'll have more questions. And now that I'm putting a face to the name, though, you're going to be getting me hitting you up all the time with questions because, you know, I want to make this like kind of like a pillar of my content to see like really like how it's like, you know, I want to get my mom to talk about it on my page because she's having a different experience.
No, that's great that you got her onto it because
she's drinking it right now. So I'm trying to. Today's the first day she made it by herself. So I prepare hers for her. So it was interesting.
That's a sign of a true professionals. When you make it for yourself, that's when you definitely
So she's getting into it, and I have an aunt coming over, and she's like, "Can you teach me the Yerba Mate ways?" I was like, "Yeah." So, well, I'm like, it's kind of funny to talk on like the page because it's so not something that I talk about.
Yeah.
But again, as someone who's like going through like this sobriety journey, and like this is a treat for me. You know what I mean? Like, and so
it's for people that get off smoking as well. Having the straw is like this oral fix, you know. Anxiety.
That's
I've heard that from multiple people as well. Sobriety as well. It's having some kind of positive outlet, I guess you could say.
Mm-hmm.
So
I know I have a lot of people I like sometimes help out people that are like getting sober and are like treatment programs and stuff, and they talk a lot about like then they start getting into smoking and stuff. Mm-hmm. So I like the Yerba Mate, man. I didn't even think about that.
It's a true thing, so I'll just let you know, FYI, everybody, this is a kind of American thing though, individualistic. Everybody has their own thing. Traditionally, the way it started, and that's how it is there's this thing called a ronda, so it's the round, the circle. Basically, when you prepare mate, you're the person who prepares, called a cebador. So you prepare it and then you pass it to your friends. So everybody's drinking out of the same mate with a straw. That's how it's traditionally done. Of course, most people in, the US and everything like, wait, you're drinking out of the same straw? Like, that's how it is. It's a community thing as it is. So that's kind of the underlying things that a lot of people don't know.
All of this stuff, just FYI, you could turn these into TikToks. You know what I mean? And that would be your hook. All you have to do is your hook. Like, you want to know one funny thing about America, Yerba Mate compared to Argentina? That's a video right there. Like, here's my top 5 Yerba Mates for the people trying it for the first time. Like, that's a video. Like, you've already, since we've been talking, you've given like 500 TikTok ideas. Like, you need to post those. And you can sit at your desk exactly how you are right now, or in your kitchen, and just say it like this. Like, you could just put your phone up on the tripod and just say exactly what you're saying. And, just pull up your different ones. Like, you should honestly get to it. And you'll be stuck in the 200 views for like a month. But eventually you'll come out of it. Like, you do so good. You're very well spoken. I'm going to hold you accountable on getting on TikTok.
Okay. All right. Fine.
Okay.
Because I've just been, I don't know.
It's because people think that everything has to be perfected on TikTok, and because we're used to Instagram, to me, it's opposite.
Yeah. Okay. Well, to me, I don't know. I guess I just don't want to get into that. I have this negative image of TikTok, basically, of like, 12-year-old kids. And
you know that right now the ages of 25 to 40 make up over 65% of TikTok. So
I was assuming everybody under 20, and then also assumed that all the trolls live there. So
there's a lot of those too, but you will. I mean, sometimes I buy.
It is what it is, right? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and they're everywhere. Like, for me, the trolls are way, way worse on Instagram than on TikTok, because on TikTok you can do a reply back to a troll, and you basically put them on blast, and it's going to show their username and what they said. And even if they block you, and even if they like delete you and all this stuff, that video with their face and their name stays. On Instagram, if you call someone out and they block you, everything disappears. So people like on TikTok, like,
I saw your video about that. Yeah.
Yeah. If people on TikTok, if they, they're less likely to say something that they can get called out for if they know that you're going to call them out.
Well, Dani, right?
Yeah.
Or Danielle. Dani? Okay. Dani.
You know what's funny is I go by Dani, My corporate job, I go by Danielle because my name's Dani, but like when after college and I started getting these corporate jobs and this business and all that, I should go back to Danielle. Yeah, so, but it's funny because now I'm just like, well, I'm Dani, but I just felt like at the time, like I had to be this other person.
Sure.
Yeah. So, but Dani is my name. Yeah.
Well, Dani, once again, thank you for being on the show and agreeing to be here and just sharing your story.
Been awesome.
And also, yeah, and you, seriously, you've been very, very helpful to insightful of, all the things I guess I try to say, but coming from you and your experience is very powerful. And thanks for sharing your story. Mm-hmm. But I just want to give you the chance to, what other things, projects you're working on, any kind of links or anything plugging for your where people can find you.
Mm-hmm. So I do on social media, mom hacks, child safety, travel, family travel. I talk a little about child loss and a couple other things that we mentioned. And now Yerba Mate apparently. So that's a pillar. But you can find me on TikTok at Dani Morin 13. If you just type in Dani Morin, I'll pop up. And Instagram at Dani Morin _ again, if you just type in Dani Morin, I'll pop up. And I do have a breastfeeding friendly clothing line. If there are new moms on here, it's called Zippy Mama. And that's Zippy Mama, MAMA. So ZIPPYMAMA. And that is, you can just go to zippymama.com. And it's just basics, postpartum basics. So just basic tees, nothing with crazy florals or anything, with invisible zippers and like clips that are, more chic and discreet, I guess. So, for the new mama. So if you're out there, you're listening to your man and your wife is having a baby. I was like, wait, is she still, you guys are weaning, but if you have another one, let me know. I'll send it over.
Well, if we do have another one, then I'll let you know.
Yeah. I got to think about that.
One. Yeah. But, boy and a girl, I think we're good, but, if it happens, it happens, right? That'd be great. But, and yes, definitely a huge advocate for natural breastfeeding. So I'm on board with you there as the husband. Guys, encourage your wives to naturally breastfeed. It's the best thing you can do for your child.
Lots of support needed, man. I couldn't have done it without my mom just like feeding me. There's a lot of things, like just a quick note with the breastfeeding is like, it really does need to have support from the partner. Because
having to wake up for 2 hours,
feeding ourselves our lunch. Like I had
to fill up my water bottle so many times.
The water bottle, bringing the snacks, like sometimes even bringing the baby into the room at night. Like I had that support, and I know a lot of women don't, which is why they'll go. And I don't care how anyone like feeds their baby, but if you are a husband on here or a partner of any sort, like that support of just feeding and keeping that mom hydrated and, helping out with the laundry and stuff that like, because that is the job, and then eventually after that, like we can do things ourselves. But that first like 6 weeks is crucial to have like that massive support in the beginning for sure.
Yeah. Cheers to that. I'll put all this stuff in the show notes as far as links and stuff, send me stuff later and we'll put it all in the show notes. Just between you and I, this will probably release in, probably a month from now, to be honest. Cause,
keep me posted and I'll post it to my people too.
And hey, I'm excited about this. Please hit me up for any questions you got. That's what I'm here for. That's literally kind of why I created this thing, was kind of, like you said, it was just a passion of mine, that something I liked and just kind of shared on Instagram. And then all of a sudden it's this thing. So, I'll also love to maybe pick your brain about the family travel thing too, like maybe some of those travel hacks things you picked up. Because
where have you guys traveled out of the country yet, or do you guys do that?
We took our first trip with the kids to Bolivia in November last year.
Okay,
and so that was a big thing. Looking to go to Argentina, probably not this year. We wanted to go this year, we'll see. I don't know, but yeah, definitely gonna. Traveling is a big thing for us. We just haven't done. Want to do some more. We're looking to do a cruise here pretty soon too, because that's
Well, so we're
travel.
There's a couple I'll send you when they come across my feed. A couple cruise families that like they know the ins and outs of cruises for families.
Oh, nice.
And I'm following them because I'm trying to get into, we want to do a big cruise. And just
Cruise
like
is by far
trying
the
to,
best. If you haven't, have you done them before?
so, I mean, I haven't done like any, so my goal is to do the European cruise. My mom thinks we should do something like a little safe first, more like an Alaskan cruise, to get us going. But, because my whole thing is, it's like, how do I hit like more birds with one stone? You know what I mean? Like, how can I hit all of these cities with like out having, because the one thing about family travel is like, I'm fine if I'm by myself hopping city to city to city to city with a backpack on, like no problem. But when you have a child and you have a stroller and all this stuff, and you're going from hotel 2 days there to another hotel, 2 days there to another hotel. Whereas if you're on a cruise, it's like, oh, we're going to do an excursion today. We don't have to bring the bags and stuff. Just bring the kid, baby, one of them, and so
So cruise is by far the easiest.
Yeah,
by far. Everything's there. Like
done.
Yeah.
And then the kids, I think, can adjust better when you're in one spot.
And they have things for them to do as well.
Yeah.
Specifically for the kids, entertainment stuff. Yeah.
So I think we're going to be doing the Alaskan cruise, and then we'll hit up the European cruise and do Europe. And
European cruise.
And then, well, there's a lot of good ones. And there's a mom. She did the Disney cruise, and she did 2 Disney cruises. Well, no. She got it for super cheap.
Was it travel hacking? Yep.
It was a travel hack because she booked 2 cruises at once. So it was almost like a 2-for-1. So she got like a 14-day cruise, but she got to see like technically like 14 cities.
Wow.
And it was like, she said it was like so worth it. And then they flew home, and she said like flying home was like the most expensive part. So and I've been looking into that too, but there's so many good cruises there. But I was like, I think just logistically, getting on a cruise, having all your stuff there, just hopping off just to is just so much better. So we haven't done it yet, but it's I'm actually like reaching out to a bunch of the cruise lines this week and just seeing like, how can we work this out? And maybe if I got an Alaskan cruise to be like the first thing that I showcase. And like for me, I know how to film hotels and that, but I've never done a cruise before, so it's like I don't have anything to show for. So I don't know if it's like, maybe I don't do a collaborative thing.
Yeah, take the first step.
Yeah. So we'll see. But yeah, cruises are on our list too, for sure.
Nice. Yeah, keep me in the loop on that. We're looking to look one probably October for the fall break and stuff. But yeah, I'd love to learn, because it would be the first time doing it as a family. We've done it, my wife and I, or with my family, but not like with
Where would you guys go? What kind of cruise?
Just like in the Caribbean,
the Caribbean,
either Miami or New Orleans, because that's the closest nearby here. Miami's further away, but cheaper in total cruises.
The New Orleans cruise, you go into Charleston, you do all of that too.
Okay. I haven't done that. I've only done like, Mexico, Bahamas, that kind of stuff. So
yeah, there is the one that's we just came back from the southern states. So
okay.
We did we did South Carolina, so Charleston, Hilton Head, Savannah, Georgia, and New Orleans. But there's ports in all those places too. So that might be something to look into. And then you can see a couple of those places, because they're cool. The food in Charleston. It's the food I've ever
been in Charleston for a while. Yeah. Yeah, I've worked in Charleston for a while. Yeah.
I would move there just for the food. Like there was not one restaurant that was not impeccable food. Like everything was amazing, for sure.
Nice.
So, well, awesome. Thank you so much for having me on. Yeah.
I know. Thank you. Yeah. Talk to you soon.
Okay.
Have a good day.
Bye.
All right. Bye-bye. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was a fantastic show, right? You got to learn so much about Yerba Mate from her experience, a lot of questions and answers, and hope you had fun and learned a lot. If you want to continue to see more of this great content, I put a lot of hours and effort into making this show possible, and you're asking yourself, well, how can I help? Here's how you can help and make the show better and get benefits as well. You can go to patreon.com/Yerba Power Podcast, and there you can become a Patreon. What does that mean? It means you're a supporter of the show. And as a supporter of the show, what you get in return is not only bonus content, extended episodes that only you get access to with MP3 downloads that you can take with you. But you also get fan requests, voting power. In other words, you get to pick what the next episodes will be. And to suggest things to me, ask me anything episodes, but I do exclusively just for you guys, as well as a shout out for all those that are Patreons. And all this is yours for only $5 a month. Sign up to be a Patreon at patreon.com/Yerba Power Podcast. Thank you.